Hey guys, it is Friday. Time for the end of the week wrap up. So we finished stripping Bob's, got all the door handles and locks and everything out, got it completely stripped. It is ready for sealer. Um, kind of holding off probably till Monday and see if we can get a little more of this Mustang sealed, stripped. This side, we've got most of this side down to metal, basically removing everything. So it's coming along nice. Got all that red paint and red primer that was tucked under there out, and that's moving along really good. Um, we got in some parts today for the Barracuda. Got in a set of shocks and intake gasket. And the intake gasket was a little bit of a holdup simply because this is a 273, and the six pack intake we have is only it'll only fit a 318. So I'll give you a little history lesson here. 64 to 66, the intakes had a different degree head, and that intake will fit, but you have to oblong the oval, the hole out in order for the degree of the bolt to fit. The plane is the same, it's just the way the bolt goes in. But 67, which this is, switched to the same degree head, but the ports are a small, different, slightly bit different size. So what I want to do is match port by using the gasket as a guide. And the way to tell if it's a 67, 67 was the start of using a 3/8 intake bolt. This has a 3/8 intake bolt. So we're good for putting the intake on. I just needed the gaskets in order to match port, and that would get us set up for that. So those finally came in today. So now I can make some headway on that. Um, Back here, we got a little more parts for the 69 Camaro painted. Got the bumpers and front fenders and the lower valance. So the only thing I have left to paint on this is the quarter panels. So now I got all this little stuff done out of the way and get the booth back, and we'll get that body painted. Do a little work on Brian Wolf's Camaro. Got the block drain plugs in, and having a bit of an issue with the rack. I thought I could get away with just bending the tube. There's a tube up in here that comes off the top of the rack. It's just touching the oil pan. And the clearances are so tight on this, there's no movement for anything. So what I'm going to have to do is, when they convert these to a rack, there's a bracket that mounts to the back of the lower control arm, the pivot point across, and it houses the rack. That's what the rack mounts to. So I'm going to have to remove that bracket off of there and oblong a hole with the mill, and then re-weld it or weld up the hole and re-drill it and lower that bracket a quarter of an inch. A quarter of an inch won't hurt the bump steer or anything like that, but it'll give me just enough clearance to clear that oil pan. So I got to pull part of the suspension back apart on this. So a little setback on that. But other than that, we are making headway. I did get the block plugs in. Once I get that rack done, I'll get the exhaust in there, and we'll move on, get the wiring and stuff done. So we are making headway. So you guys have a good weekend. Be safe. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe.